Hello, everyone. Welcome to Miss Jessie's Online Story Time, brought to you by the Perry County Public Library and me, Miss Jessie, the Children's Youth Services Librarian. How are you today? That's wonderful. Are you ready to hear a story? Because I'm ready to tell a story. Today's story is checked out through the Perry County Public Library's Overdrive app in partnership with Kentucky Libraries Unbound. Today's book is published by Penguin Random House Publishing. The Best Nest by P.D. Eastman. Mr. Bird was happy. He was so happy he had to sing. This was Mr. Bird's song. I love my house, I love my nest, in all the world my nest is best. Then Mrs. Bird came out of the house. It's not the best nest, she said. I'm tired of this old place, said Mrs. Bird. I hate it. Let's look for a new place right now. So they left the old place to look for a new one. This place looks nice, said Mr. Bird. Let's move in here. But somebody else had already moved in. So they looked at another house. This one looks nice, said Mr. Bird, and there's nobody in it. You're wrong, said Mr. Bird. Said Mrs. Bird. This house belongs to a foot. So they went on looking. I like this one, said Mr. Bird. It has a pretty red flag on the roof. I've always wanted a house with a flag, said Mrs. Bird. Maybe this place will be all right. But it was not all right. I guess I made a mistake, said Mr. Bird. You make too many mistakes, said Mrs. Bird. I'm going to pick the next house. And here it is, right here. They flew in, they looked around. Isn't it too big? Asked Mr. Bird. I like this big place, said Mrs. Bird. This is the place to build our new nest. They went right to work. They needed many things to build their nest. First, they got some hay, and then some soda straws, and broom straws. They got some sweater string, and they got some stocking string, and mattress stuffing. They got some horse hair, and then they got some man hair. Soon they had all the hay, all the straw, all the string, all the stuffing, all the horse hair, and all the man hair they could carry. They took it all back to build their nest. Mr. and Mrs. Bird worked very hard. It took them the rest of the morning to finish their nest. This nest is really the best, said Mrs. Bird. I want to stay here forever. Mr. Bird was very happy too. He flew to the top of the house and he sang his song again. I love our house, I love our nest. In all the world, our nest is the best. He was so busy singing he didn't even see Mr. Parker coming. Every day at 12 o'clock, Mr. Parker came to the church, and Mr. Parker came to pull a rope. The rope went up to the bird's new nest. The rope rang the big bell right under Mrs. Bird's nest. Bong, bong, bong. Mrs. Bird got out of there as fast as she could fly. Bong, 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 bong. When Mr. Bird came in, all he could see was a mess of hay and string and stuffing and horsehair and manhair and straws. Where was Mrs. Bird? I will look for her until I find her, said Mr. Bird. He looked high, he looked low, he looked everywhere for Mrs. Bird. He looked down into a chimney, but Mrs. Bird wasn't there. He looked down into a water barrel, but Mrs. Bird wasn't there. Then he saw a big fat cat. There was a big fat smile on the big fat cat's face. There were some pretty brown feathers near the big fat cat's mouth. Mr. Bird began to cry. Oh dear, he cried. This big fat cat has eaten Mrs. Bird. Mr. Bird flew off. I'll never see Mrs. Bird again, he cried. It was getting dark. It began to rain. It rained harder and harder. Mr. Bird could not see where he was going. Crash! Mr. Bird bumped into something. It was his old house. That old house that Mrs. Bird hated. I'll go inside, said Mr. Bird. I'll rest here until the rain stops. And Mr. Bird went in, and there was Mrs. Bird sitting there singing, I love my house, I love my nest, in all the world this nest is the best. You here? Gasped Mr. Bird. I thought you hated this old nest. Mrs. Bird smiled. I used to hate it, she said, but a mother bird can change her mind, you see. There's no nest like an old nest for a brand new bird. And when the egg popped open, the new bird thought so too. I hope you enjoyed that story, and I thought that maybe we can make our own paper plate nest. So we're going to need a few things. We're going to need a paper plate, just one of these little thin white ones. We're going to need brown paper. You can use construction paper, brown paper. You can use a paper bag, a glue stick, blue construction paper, and scissors. And remember, when we're using scissors, we want to use these with adult supervision because we want to be extra careful so we don't cut ourselves. Step 1. Using our scissors, we're going to cut our brown or tan paper into strips about the width of your pinky finger. So that's about a ½ inch wide and about 3 inches long. So about that. I've already cut mine up. Some of mine's longer than 3 inches. I have where I did a paper bag and my brown construction paper. So I have all mine already pre-cut. And I had 2 different colors. Step 2, using our blue paper, we want to fit, now we're going to make 3 egg shapes. And we want these to fit into the middle of our nest, which is our paper plate. So we want it to fit that middle part right there. So I suggest we make them about the size of a medium or large or extra large chicken egg. Mine's a little bit bigger, but this is mine. So these are like extra large eggs. They're big eggs, but they will fit in the center of my plate. Next, we're going to glue our eggs to the middle of our plate. So I'm going to take my glue, and I've got my middle, and I'm just going to take an egg and put glue on one side and glue down my egg. Just like that. Now I'm going to glue my other Now, if you want to make these decorative, you can always take a marker or a crayon or a color pencil, and you can put designs on your eggs. You can make them speckled, you can make them wavy. You don't even have to do a blue egg. You could do a white egg, a yellow egg, a black egg, any color egg you want. So I've got my eggs glued on. Step 4, it's time to glue our nest sticks. So what I'm going to do is around the edge, I'm going to start doing a heavy dose of glue around the rippled edges. So you can see that I've got glue all around there. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put glue, and then I'm going to start placing my glue, my sticks, my nest sticks. And you can crisscross them. You can put them on top of each other. You could use different colors. It's whatever you want to do. You might even have to go in and put more glue. And that's perfectly okay. Because some of it, because the plate does raise up at edges. So it may not want to stick at first. So you may have to press down. Just like that. And we continue until we build our nest all around our eggs. Because that's what a nest is for. It's to protect our baby eggs and birds. Now, if we ever find a nest in a wild, we want to leave it alone. We don't want to scare off the mommy and daddy birds. So we'll just keep building our nest. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's story and craft. Thanks for watching.